So when your movie gets beat out by a lesser known movie, and your movie cost $300 million to make, while the other movie that's beating you at the box office currently only cost about $14.5 million to make, I guess you could say that as the director of the big budget $300 million film, you're going to be just a little salty. Well, James Mangold has been a little salty. James Mangold is blaming the fans for Indiana Jones and the Insufferable Feminist, or Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery, or Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, whatever you want to call it, Indy 5, for being a big box office bomb. Can't say as I'm surprised, because that's what happens in Hollywood. It's always the fans' fault. Guys like me, who basically grew up on Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, who, in my opinion, that's the last Indiana Jones movie, actually. There was this movie called Kingdom of the Crystal Skull that was released 15 years ago. So this is from Bounding Into Comics. Oh, by the way, Brickhouse here. Hi, how you doing? Little housekeeping, if you would. Please share your opinion. Comment down below. Tell me what you think of James Mangold blaming the fans for the failure that is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And while you're at it, please smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell to get notified when my content becomes available here on YouTube. And also, you can find me over on the, I call the green icon, Rumble. And you can also find my content over on Odyssey. And let's just jump right on in, shall we? James Mangold decided to deride fans for not liking his deconstruction, or I like to say destruction, of Indiana Jones. Mangold was asked in an interview by Brian Davids, The Hollywood Reporter, "Life is filled with peaks and valleys, and I appreciate when my fictional heroes such as Indy have their own ups and downs. So why does a segment of the audience seem to want these legacy characters to be infallible? I just can't figure out why anyone would want such little drama." Mangold replied, "Well, there's a point where these characters become symbols more than characters. And so there becomes this anxiety that if you examine the humanity of a hero, you somehow weaken them." How about no? He continued, "And honestly, I can't speak for how fans relate and wrestle with these questions in relation to other movies, but certainly in relation to mine, I think your question almost has my answer built into it. I mean, I think you're in a sense already addressing it. Good drama gives a hero a problem. The movie is about a beautiful hero who is capable of anything and is virtually indestructible and is without any personal issues or concerns, then you just have a fashion video with action. I'm a man of starting a character in one place to go to another," Mangold elaborated. "Movies are a continuum by definition. In drama, a character starts in one place and ends up in another." Which is what they did here. You know, you had young Indiana Jones for the first 20 minutes of the film. Then you went to old curmudgeon Indiana Jones. "Get off my lawn! Turn down that music!" And then he played second fiddle to his goddaughter, who, in my view, my opinion, they were positioning to be the next Indiana Jones. The only thing they didn't have her do is pick up his hat, put it on her head, and give a little wink and nod to the camera at the end. With the "Indiana Jones will return" in, just like they did with James Bond. Indiana Jones will return in Indiana Jones and the Insufferable Feminist. James Mangold should direct that. Mangold then accused critics of his deconstruction of being divisive when it was his and Lucasfilm's choice to deconstruct Indiana Jones in the first place. Yeah, they took the rumored script that Steven Spielberg had wrote, which I believe was going to be based on Indy and Marion in the movie, and said, "Now we're not going to do that. Out of here." He said, "So if people want to be divisive in this age of social media, they can focus on where the character starts as opposed to where they end. Or they can focus on where they end as opposed to where they start. All I'm asking for is a good story where the title character is the lead and doesn't play second fiddle." In reality, for Harrison, who's playing this character, he's tracing an arc and he's charging through the whole picture, or changing through the whole picture. Too bad he wasn't charging through the whole picture. So it all depends on where you're landing and where you're pointing your finger out in that timeline, he concluded. Now, this isn't the first time that James Mangold has gotten into a tit for tat. He got into a little scuffle online with Matthew Kadish, who wrote on Twitter, "To anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, just let me point out, Steven Spielberg is not directing. Check. Kathleen Kennedy is producing. That spells disaster. Check. Harrison Ford is 78 years old. Check. Written by Jonathan Kasdan, who wrote Solo. Ugh. Check." Mangold took exception to the tweet and responded by insulting him. "Thanks, Matt. Number one, keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement." I don't think he was doing it from his basement. Maybe his nice studio out in Vegas. Just saying. Never seen a script by John. Nothing against him, just reality. Butterworths and I started from a blank page. Well, there was your first mistake. You started from a blank page. 3. 1 through 3 are hugely talented and all at my side. Kathleen Kennedy talented? She's destroyed all of Lucasfilm's properties. Mangold would continue to deride Kadish and his podcast team, the Salty Nerd. Go support the folks at Salty Nerd. Salty Nerd tweeted, "We don't have basements, but we do have a kick-ass studio with a Batman statue." Where James Mangold replied, "Yeah, that's a kick-ass studio. Congrats on the Batman statue and the jar of corks. So how about you let me finish my film and then bitch all you want about it in front of your vinyl bricks lit by your fancy bounce light. And maybe don't call opinion news." He would also describe Kadish as a clickbaiter and a nightcrawler. Of course, Mangold did get a little bit of support from somebody by the name of Axe, saying, "Thanks, Axe. I don't mind people griping and prognosticating, but on my watch, false info, ageism, and snark from so-called journalists is going to be confronted directly and forcefully." Mangold added, "In my opinion, these clickbaiters like to dish it out, but like nightcrawlers can't stand the light." Sounds to me like somebody can't stand a little criticism of his film that's a flop. And the numbers prove it out. B+ cinema score. Bad. Mediocre 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. And there's a report out there that indicates that only 9% of people who saw the film recommended it to the friends and family. I was not part of that 9%. Film had an abysmal opening weekend, only bringing in $60.3 million domestically. So far, the film's only grossed $102.3 million domestically, another $69.5 million internationally, for a grand total of $171.8 million. This movie is expected to lose Walt Disney Company somewhere between $250 and $300 million. That's because this movie cost $300 million to make, plus another $100 to $150 million in marketing and advertising. Not to mention those free tickets you can get if you spend $35 at Applebee's. So again, if you would please take the time, share your thoughts. What do you think? What do you make of James Mangold's comments? Basically blaming fans for the failure of his prize Lucasfilm movie. Share down below. And with that, I thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. And I will see you later.